27-year-old, Megan Matthews, could be facing anywhere from 10 years to life in prison. For the very same behavior, Craig Ladd allows from law enforcement.
So if someone just steals your car or steals a car that has your purse in it, like in this case, the law doesn't allow you to chase them down and shoot them.
Unless you're with the Johnston County Sheriff's Office. Here's some examples. Sheriff Dodd put over 10 bullets into the back of the stolen truck, shooting the man as he fled. Cleats 2022 legal update points out, Simpson v. Little, 10th Circuit 2021. Firing into a vehicle when the officer is not facing an actual and imminent threat or was not an immediate danger at the time of the shooting was not a reasonable use of force. The court goes on to say, because the officer was not in imminent danger of being run over when he fired the shots, it was determined the use of deadly force was unreasonable. The officer should have known his actions would be unconstitutional.
Some circumstances use deadly force if someone is trying to rob you or hurt you to get your property from you, but that's not what we had here.
April 17, 2018. A neighbor had called police to report a verbal dispute. 39-year-old, Justin Mange, would be gunned down in his own driveway for fleeing. His thumb was reportedly shot off, indicating he likely had his hands up. Witnesses report, after multiple gunshots into the vehicle, a deputy at the time, and now sheriff, Gary Dodd, approached Mange, who was unarmed, and shot him more than once at close range. The medical examiner ruled Mange's death a homicide.
That's a solid charge based on the evidence.
A member of the public suggested we take a look at Sheriff Dodd's social media. We found various normal posts, including his swearing-in ceremony. Seems he likes whiskey with his guns. Then we saw the red flags. The captions of many of his posts show he has an attitude of us against them, and an odd belief that his purpose is to, quote, keep the, quote, wolves at bay, and to be in a constant relentless pursuit. Then we found this post. Almost a year prior to gunning down Justin Mange, Dodd openly bragged to the public that he keeps a notebook entitled, People to Kill. What we have here, folks, is an armed, elected official, who thinks it is funny to joke about killing people. Red flag alert. Dodd aiming his weapon at the front door of a home. The caption claims this was in response to an attempted cop killer. If that were true, it would be fair to expect true exigency in the circumstances. However, if the officer has time to snap a photo for his Instagram, then it is clear that no exigency existed. Without an exigency, this type of force could be deemed excessive. It's no secret to the community, Sheriff Dodd lives on the same ranch as his father-in-law, Rick Orr. The LLC shown here is registered to Mr. Orr, as well as the Oklahoma medical marijuana license number. Both these documents have Dodd's home address listed on them. OMMA rules expressly put forth state law enforcement may not own a grow license. So, guess the next best thing is to have Dad put it in his name. Although OMMA does not show a current active license for Mr. Orr at this time, it still raises many concerns. Was Dodd's zealous advocacy to raid marijuana grows over the last year or so because he wanted to cut down his dad's competition? Does his involvement with the marijuana trade, since it is still federally illegal, have any implications on his federal cross-deputizations, or his federal ATF licensing? To comply with the law, did he have to leave his service weapon at work prior to going home, due to the narcotics growing in his backyard? How exactly would that work 100% lawfully? It seems to be pretty clear. The law only applies when and how Sheriff Dodd decides to apply it. Elected sheriff while actively evading taxes. Yes, that's right. Not one, but two, tax warrants were issued from the Oklahoma Tax Commission against Sheriff Dodd and his wife in April of 2019. Once issued, it would have been the job of former Johnston County Sheriff John Smith to, quote, execute the warrants against his two deputies, meaning he was supposed to collect the amount owed, or if unable, to sell the personal property of the persons the warrant was issued against. John Smith did not do this, and as of June 2022, the warrants are still outstanding with interest accruing. Seems to be yet another instance of Sheriff Dodd picking and choosing which laws apply to him. Meet Sheriff Dodd's wife. She has her own questionable shooting. Allison or Dodd was involved in a shooting on March 25, 2017. The appeals record shows contradicting testimony from the officers involved. Let's take a look. Deputy or Dodd shot appellant twice, but there were conflicting accounts of what happened immediately prior thereto. Appellant testified that he had no intentions of attacking the officers and that he lowered the knife and began to crouch down so that he could get on the ground and surrender. Deputy Stockard and Officer Perkinson's testimony, along with Deputy or Dodd's testimony, all conflicted. Officer Perkinson, of the Tishomingo Police Department, was equipped with a body camera, but did not activate the device until after appellant was shot. One of or Dodd's accomplices, who testified in the previous case, Brandon Stockard, is a former Love County deputy. Stockard was involved in the corruption case against dishonored Sheriff Joe Russell, before signing on with the Johnston County Sheriff's Office. Current Johnston County Deputy, Gabriel Alexander, was also involved in the corruption case against dishonored Sheriff Joe Russell. Alexander currently has over 45 uses of force on his record. Former Love County Sheriff, Joe Russell, is well known for getting caught using his department's resources to aid him in his drug distribution scheme, as well as the wide-known cover-up, following a police chase he called off, that led to the disappearances of Molly Miller and Colt Haynes in 2013. Russell was later charged with 2 felonies, but entered a plea agreement, resulting in a misdemeanor conviction and no jail time. Meanwhile, Molly and Colt are still missing. The connections don't end there. Stockard and Alexander were not the only ones to relocate to Johnston County Sheriff's Office, following the end of Joe Russell. Between 2009 and 2016, Gary and Allison Dodd held positions with the Chickasaw Lighthorse Tribal Police. Court records indicate a majority of their cases originated in Love County. In 2016, while the heat in Love County is rising, they both leave for Johnston County Sheriff Office. Guess who joins them? Alexander and Stockard, along with Alexander's cousin Christopher Boston. What's known as a clique is born.
But that's not what we had here.
Craig Ladd had a dilemma. As district attorney, how do you protect a clique of rogue cops? Y'all remember Cowboy Bob? Bob Macy was known as the second deadliest prosecutor in U.S. history. He left behind a legacy of misconduct, fabricating evidence to secure wrongful death row convictions. The 10th U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals said, Macy's persistent misconduct caused significant damage to Oklahoma's judicial system. Dilemma solved. Craig Ladd brings Macy's protege and former death squad member out of retirement. Meet Fern Smith, referred to as Bob Macy's protege in his autobiography. She is the current Johnston County Assistant District Attorney. According to County Commissioner Hallmark, her job is to protect them. Her legacy will be one of prosecutorial misconduct, including unconstitutional stacking of charges against defendants, coercive plea agreements, withholding Brady material, and destroying evidence. Let's look at Fern's role in one of the most controversial death penalty cases in America. Killing Richard Glossip.
If a defense attorney had done what the DA's office in this case did by destroying evidence, charges would have been brought against the defense for obstructing justice.
We do think that that's a solid charge based on the evidence. But that's not what we had here.
Okay, Ladd. Let's just see. What do we have here? Oh. It's the reports from Reed Smith. Let's take a look, shall we? Page 45 of the first Reed Smith report. That star? Yeah. That says, Fern Smith. On the topic of evidence in a capital murder case being destroyed. It reads, Fern Smith and Connie Smotherman were aware of this destruction of evidence, and neither appear to have investigated or determined how this destruction happened. This represents a complete breakdown in our judicial system. Interview with Oklahoma City detective that documented the destruction of evidence. Question, Do you find it concerning at all that an assistant district attorney told you to destroy a box of evidence when the case was still ongoing? Detective Janet Hogue: Unfortunately I do. Fern was aware of the destruction of evidence. Not only aware, but quite possibly, the ADA that ordered the police to destroy the evidence. The destruction of evidence was not an accident. The state, as memorialized by multiple documents from both the OKC DA's office and the OKC Police Department, expressingly intended to destroy this evidence. An email from Connie Smotherman attempts to deflect blame by stating, "I am not aware of any policy authorizing the destruction of evidence from our office." Could this be because it was Fern's doing? Page 83. Fern misleads the court about the lost Sinclair tapes. Fern's statements seem to contradict Ms. Smotherman's yet again. This is what Fern had to say in court regarding the Sinclair tapes: "We do not believe that it has any evidentiary value, and it's tapes of who goes in and out of Sinclair Station. The videotape likely has exculpatory information, or, at the very least, highly relevant information to the case, corroborating or disproving the testimony of Justin Sneed." At no time did Fern Smith inform the court that this videotape did not exist or had been lost by police. Upon investigators reaching out to Fern Smith, her response was, "I am not interested in talking to you or giving you my thoughts." Her refusal to participate in the investigation is a blatant obstruction of justice. Her actions, if not criminal, are an absolute contradiction to Rule 3.8, just saying. Yeah. This rule here. American Bar Association's Rules for Professional Conduct, Rule 3.8, Special Responsibilities of a Prosecutor. Section D reads, "The prosecutor in a criminal case shall make timely disclosure to the defense of all evidence or information known to the prosecutor that tends to negate the guilt of the accused, or mitigates the offense, and, in connection with sentencing, disclose to the defense and to the tribunal all unprivileged mitigating information known to the prosecutor." Let's hear State Representative Justin Humphrey's thoughts on this.
But we need to investigate the DA's office and look at this kind of conduct. This is unacceptable, and you put a man on death row. You're looking at taking a person's life, which makes you no better than a murderer to me. I believe the evidence speaks for itself, and so one of the things that the independent investigators found is that evidence was destroyed by the district attorney's office. I am a 30-year law enforcement officer. I have worked in all forms of law enforcement. Right now, I'm still a reserve deputy, and I have been a state officer. I have been a drug court administrator, so I've worked in many types of law enforcement fields, and I can tell you I know of not one instance that it is right for the district attorney to destroy evidence. In even a simple trial, that would be grotesquely wrong. And I can tell you in a death penalty case, I cannot think of one instance where there would be any scenario that would be okay. This district attorney, I mean, knowingly, I know that, and I was just a simple officer. This person knows the law and did that. And again, I want to call for an investigation. I don't think that we should just let this go. So I'm not.
I think that's a solid charge based on the evidence.
This is a bigger issue than ADA Jessica Underwood's DUI, the one where the police report has yet to be made public. And Craig Ladd lied to the media, stating she was suspended, and then court files showed she was still prosecuting cases. Fern Smith is a cheater. She will continue to cheat, in order to cover up their misconduct. Nearly every officer in the Johnston County Sheriff's Office is on the Brady list. Fern Smith continues to withhold evidence of police misconduct from defendants, in violation of the Supreme Court Brady Doctrine. Fern Smith and her gang violate the U.S. Constitution and the rights of the people of Johnston County. They have made a mockery of the American value that is fair and impartial administration of our justice system.
That's a solid charge based on the evidence.
Johnston County can no longer trust Fern Smith as an advocate for justice. The time to clean house is here. Craig Ladd. Will you do the right thing?
This is about a process that keeps me and you free, that keeps police officers from kicking down your door and doing an illegal search, that makes sure when you go to court that you get a fair trial. That's what this process is about, and that's why I get so upset. I hold myself as a law enforcement officer more accountable than a criminal. I hold myself more accountable. You catch me doing something illegal, throw the book at me. Guess what? I hold the DA's office even more accountable than me. They're the top law enforcement officer. So that's why I'm saying we in Oklahoma, I'm not out to get anybody. I don't have a personal vendetta. I'm out to clean up our process so that Oklahoma has a good legal system that we can have faith in. And I want to encourage the public to get involved. It's time that we all take back our state government, our county government, our district attorneys. It is time for we, the people, to stand up and take back our government. So,
Fern Smith must go. Resignation or termination. Either one is acceptable, but it must be done. The people of District 20 and the people of Johnston County deserve better from Craig Ladd. Don't look the other way, or put your head in the sand. It's time to replace Fern Smith. If you as a viewer agree that Fern Smith should no longer be Assistant District Attorney of Johnston County, after her role in the wrongful conviction of Richard Glossip, please contact Craig Ladd and ask for her termination.